Okay, it's on.
So
whenever I'm ready.
Andrea,
Are you
hypothesis.
sure that's not too high? Because I feel like I'm looking like the bookcase back there for real.
All right, you're left. Yeah.
Move your knee.
That's good.
Work with me.
Yeah.
This way.
The scientists completed a study called
More experience equals bigger brains.
or brain changes in response to experience, because they simply wanted to see if the brain reacts differently to different stimulation. An interesting environment for optimal intellectual development could lead to brain growth physically and mentally.
The hypothesis for this experiment is if subjects are exposed to higher amounts of experiences in stimulating environments, then their brain will have a greater amount of growth compared to those in dull environments with a smaller amount of brain growth.
The independent variable is the type of exposure that the rat was given, either the control, dull, or enriched environments. They would be staying here from 4 to 10 weeks. The dependent variable is the brain examinations to determine if any differences had developed in the brain development. This was done blindly to make sure that the person doing the autopsy did not know the condition the rat was placed in. The examinations also included the measurements, weight, cell growth, and level of neurotransmitter activity.
In this study, rats were chosen as the subjects for their convenience. The part of the brain observed was smooth, making it easier to examine, and they are cheap for laboratory settings. So these rats were placed into 3 different conditions. The control setting with standard lab settings containing adequate space with food and water were always available. The dull or impoverished setting with less space and isolation of each rat with adequate food and water. The enriched environment with a larger amount of space and a new set of play objects every day with adequate food and water.
As a result, the rats who had lived in the enriched environment had greater results. Their cerebral cortex, responsible for experience, movement, memory, learning, and our senses, was much larger and heavier in size. There was a higher amount in the activity level of the neurotransmitter acetylcholinesterase. Compared to the 2 groups of rats, they all had the same number of neurons. However, the enriched rats had larger neurons, showing that there was a higher level of chemical activity. As well, when scientists looked closely, the synapses of the enriched rats' brains were 50% larger than those of the impoverished rats, potentially allowing for increased brain activity.
The impact of this study was huge in studying the development of the brain. Other scientists have found out that being in an enriched environment helps with learning and memory retention, and that animal brain growth can be restarted when placed in an enriched environment after living in an impoverished one. When autopsying humans who have died naturally, their brains show the same patterns as the rats. Humans who have experienced more tend to have a larger and heavier brain. On the other hand, those who have missed experiences, for example being blind, tend to have a smaller brain compared to those who have regular sight. Therefore, as we shy away from stimulating environments, one researcher states that with constant maintenance and being in an enriched environment, we are able to keep the size of our brain constant and not lose any mass. As well, with humans living in an impoverished setting, it leads to exposure of toxic substances, inhibiting growth of brain development.
Environment with a larger amount of space and a new set of play objects every day with adequate food and water.
Yeah, perfect.
Ew, what are you doing?
Are you like double jointed or something?
Yeah! Do it again!
Oh god.
I don't want it.
Please, I want to see. All I heard was a whole bunch of cracks.
Oh my! For the audiences who
Oh my
cannot see
God.
this, it's very interesting stretching.
I think we need your wraps for now.
Go ahead, set.
No, people can do that.